Hey everyone, I'm back in the shop. This is Show Me Repair. I'm Chris. Today, we've got my new to me 94 John Deere 5400 series tractor. And she's a little rough around the edges, but it's perfect size for what I need to do. I've got a lot of plans for this thing, but it's a little rough around the edges, and when it does start, it fires up great, runs good. Doesn't burn oil or anything. Plenty of power. It's in relatively good shape compared to whenever I bought my 57 Ford 860 several years ago. That one, then again, that's a big difference. 30 plus years in age difference. There's going to be more things wrong with that one. But surprisingly, that Ford is fires right up still and runs awesome. Anyway, today the two main things I need to do on this tractor to figure out is, one, it will not start now without me jumping the starter, turning the key on and jumping the starter. The second big thing is I cannot disengage my PTO. So my PTO out the rear to drive a piece of equipment is always spinning. So I need to figure out how to disengage that or to fix whatever. So when it comes time, hay season is a big thing for running my hay bine and running my baler. The two big things with that. And I probably won't even hook this tractor up to the rake this year. I'll use my Ford. It's smaller and pretty quick. You can get around the field pretty quick in that thing. So right now, let's start by, I'll show you what it's doing on starting, and then we'll go through some steps to try to figure out exactly what's causing the no start. Okay, first we're going to go over some of the steps. I bought the manual that actually has diagnostic information, wiring diagrams, all kinds of stuff in it, and it's, I think, one of many manuals from what I can tell. This one doesn't go into depth on the engine. What I can tell is maybe two more manuals I need to buy. So anyway, right here is steps that it starts out with. First, it wants to make sure battery positive posts, is it good, and do I have at least 11.8 volts? Yeah, I have that because the tractor can start and run. Tractors without cab, starter battery, battery voltage, nope, everything's good there. This is all for cab tractors. Nope, wait, steps 3 and 4 apply to, okay, so I can jump forward. But this is a lot of checking power at certain areas, and I'm going to go through those steps because if they have them, why should I try to struggle and figure out where to go? Now I can go to the wiring diagram. So here's our ignition switch, our key switch, and we go up. Oh, is it going to cut me off? Nope, okay. And here's the starter motor, and there's actually a main starter relay. I believe it's this one, and we have a bypass starter relay. So there's two different ways this thing can start, just in case it doesn't start another way. And what I can tell, we have a rear PTO switch that can keep it from starting. We also have a neutral start switch, and we have a fuel shutoff relay and a fuel shutoff solenoid, which I don't know if that plays into it. It looks like it may play into the bypass relay, but rather than sitting here trying to suspect how it works, I'm probably going to go find the theory and operation on it, and then we will follow the diagnostic steps and try to figure out why it's not starting. Okay, so I found the theory and operation of the starting system, and I'm going to read through it now, and this way we get an understanding. You can look at a wiring diagram and get an idea where things go, but and I found a better wiring diagram, but sometimes just reading the theory and operation of how the system is supposed to work will allow you to methodically use the manual, if you have it, for diagnostic, if the manufacturer sets up good diagnostic steps. But if you go through the steps and you still haven't found the problem, you can start to use your imagination and think of, okay, how else can I test the system? How else can I test these parts? Even though this workshop technical manual, I bought the actual John Deere one. It's pretty pricey actually, but I saw that it actually has component tests on how to test the components. Like, well, ignition switch is pretty simple. It also had tests to test the neutral start switch, starter relay, bypass starter relay, fuel shutoff relay, and fuel shutoff solenoid, and several other things in there. So this should do plenty at letting me figure out what's wrong, or taking me down the path. So when the key switch is turned to the start position, current flows through a 30 amp fuse through the contact switches on circuit 571. Current then flows through the rear PTO switch and through neutral start switch. Current leaving the neutral start switch travels on circuit 301 to both the start and bypass start relays, so it goes to both of them. Current passing through the start relay windings creates a magnetic field which closes this connects circuit. Okay. The starter relay then connects circuits 002 and 309, providing a current path to the starter S terminal. At the same time, current travels to the bypass start relay on circuits 301 and 309. Current through the circuit 301 creates a magnetic field, bypass start, which pulls the relay. Okay. Current flow then stops on circuit 309 because of an open circuit between relay terminals 30 and 87. During normal operation, fuel shutoff relay remains inactive. However, circuits 302 and 092 are connected through normally closed relay contacts between terminals 30 and 87A. This energizes the fuel shutoff solenoid and allows fuel flow through the fuel injection pump. There's a lot going on there. It's not just cranking the engine and the computer says, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do. Being a 94, most of it's electrical and mechanical, so should be a lot easier. But being a 94, who knows what we'll find. I forgot how many hours it has on it. It's really not, from what I've read and talked to people, it's not super high. I say mileage, I meant hours. Did I say hours? It's not super high hours. I'll get it here in a little bit. But this thing, I'm excited to have this. So let's try to figure this out. Okay, I've already removed the seat. I'm going after the PTO switch, which should be over here somewhere. If that doesn't, then again, I have a wire here with electrical tape over it, so maybe that's why it's not there. I don't know. So the issue I'm having, as you can see, key turns on, lights turn on the dash, but I go to turn it to try to start, and you can see a light over there. I forgot what light that is. I'm going to have to figure out what that is. Engine's not starting. Now, if I leave that key on, and I come over, I put a jumper. I have my engine jumper here that I can put on the terminals of the starter. As you can see, it fires up and runs fine. And the switch shuts it off. So it's partially working. So now I need to figure out if we're for sure getting a signal to the starter. Are you whining again? He loves to hear cars start. I don't know what the deal is. You can hear him whining. It's something else. So I need to check to see if we have good power to the switch, and our starter signal wire is getting power, and then making sure that then our starter relay up here is getting power. But I believe it goes through that PTO switch. I need to go look at the wiring diagram, and we'll follow steps and figure out. So I need to check battery voltage, make sure I got battery voltage going to the ignition switch, and then whenever I turn the key, to make sure we have, it's been repaired once before, but make sure we have power at D, which is the starter wire, the start circuit. Okay, we have 12.8 volts, battery voltage there. Now let's go over, see if we can get, I'm getting 11.7. So really that should be enough to start it. So let's see if you guys can see. To me that should be enough to send power to the starter. Let's see where we need to move to next. Okay, the next point we need to test is once you turn the key and try to start it, the starting circuit goes through the fuse, which the fuse is good, and then through the PTO switch. So that's the next thing we need to check. It's back in here. It's going to be tough for me to show you. Connect to the brown wire to make sure we're getting power coming in. Find a good ground. Let's see if that works. Try to start it. Getting 11.9. So that should be good. But then we also need ignition. Go through the red. Let's check the red one. We've got 12 volts there. Now we need to make sure that we have power coming out of the switch. And really we need to either just test the switch or make sure we have power coming out of it. And that's a weather pack connector, so back probing not so easy. Okay, first I'm going to check A and C, pins A and C. A and C. What's A and C for? A and C should have continuity when the switch is released, which it does right now. It has 2.5 ohms, but what is that? Red and yellow was ignition, and then we need to do the other one. So yeah, that would be, makes sense. Okay, and D and E, which are the top two pins, does not have continuity. Let's 2.7. So our PTO switch works properly. Let's make sure. Kind of loose, but it's working. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to double check the other one just to be on the safe side and actually work the lever. Well, maybe there's my issue. It's seen with that lever kind of hanging down like that, it's reading continuity. All the way up it should be. Maybe I shouldn't be getting, well, maybe it's just out of adjustment. Let's plug this in and see what happens. Put a little dielectric grease in that. Here's the connector for the PTO switch. You can see the wiring runs back, and the switch is actually right here. Got a lot of junk on it. You can see it, a little tab right here. My finger's on it. Let's see if I can get. You can see it operate there. Okay, there it is there. Okay. Let's see what it does now with that up. Let's see if the engine starts. Oh! I think that's it. I think my PTO is most likely out of it. This lever is out of adjustment, causing issues. It should set up like this. You can see it wants to hang down. If I put it up, you see it wants to fall down. It needs to stay up to stay off that switch. Well, I thought I played with that before, but maybe not. So what can I do? I need to look. Maybe there's an adjustment or something down here. Or, see, I think there's an issue with my PTO. And so maybe if the PTO works right, it puts pressure on it and holds it up too. Okay, one more thing to look at. So that's good. At least we diagnosed that. But now we need to figure out the lever to make sure why that's, figure out why that's not right. I think I'm gonna put a little wiring loom over that wiring there. That way it doesn't chafe. And okay, I'm gonna do a little reading in the manual, see what we can do with this lever, and see if we can maybe fix both our problems. Okay, definitely figured out the problem. So, see the lever is up now. That's PTO lever. Fires up. Okay, just let it just hang there. And nothing. Put it up. That's definitely our problem. I don't think it's the switch. I think it is what I've been doing a little looking into it, and what I believe is happening is I think I actually have an issue with my clutch. And I think the clutch fingers are not releasing, and that's why my PTO is staying engaged as well. I need to do a little more digging. I need to push the clutch down and hold that down and see if my PTO spins free, because right now my PTO shaft does not spin free. If that's the case, I have to separate this thing, and I possibly need to put a new clutch in it. So, that's just how it is with used equipment, cars, everything like that. So, sucks, but is what it is. At least I'm figuring it out. Okay, so I was talking about how the PTO on my tractor, I believe, is stuck engaged. So it's always spinning. So anytime the engine's running, that my PTO shaft here is always running. Now, we've got some rags in my pocket. Right now, it's hard to turn, but I can turn it by hand, which I didn't think I could do before, but I really didn't, try that hard. And I've been doing a bunch of digging on this, reading in the owner's manual, in the repair manual, and I still need to get one more manual, which is on just the drivetrain transmission. I guess it may have a little more diagnostic in it, but it seems like the manual I have goes into enough explanation of how the PTO shaft operates. So this is a shuttle shift transmission, and it uses a two-stage clutch, and the front portion of that clutch, from the way the pictures show, is my lever on my left side, which is up here, which actually kept me from starting the tractor earlier in this video. That lever will engage and disengage the clutch. And from all the reading I've done and everything, and now what I'm going to show you here in a second, what I'm really thinking is I have a clutch that is possibly warped some. I have something in there that's just not quite right, and so it's constantly dragging on. So the friction material or whatever the spline part of that clutch is always dragging and always going to spin the PTO shaft until possibly I take it apart. Now, if there's somebody watching this and you guys definitely know that it's just going to spin, you could put a brand new clutch in it, it's just going to spin, well then definitely correct me in the comments, let me know. But I can't imagine that they designed it to always spin. Maybe if you get some gear rollover, things like that, but there's no real geared to the transmission on the PTO. It's engaged by the clutch. The front portion of the clutch, that's where the gauge. The second portion is what they refer to as traction clutch, if I remember correctly. That is to actually drive the vehicle, when you put it in gear. So one of the things that I kept I kept reading online. For the longest time, I couldn't find any information on people talking about their PTO shafts always being engaged, and they could not disengage them. But I finally found some information, and they were talking about it, and the person having the issue had clutch work done a couple years prior, and now it was engaged again. It would come and go. And so it sounds like it may be just kind of a common issue with these tractors. I don't know. I don't have enough experience, but just from what I'm seeing, maybe it is common. And one person on there recommended to try to stop the PTO shaft with a 2x4. And at first I'm like, how would you do that? And then it clicks in my head. I can pry against it and try to stop it. And if you can actually stop the PTO shaft, then it's not actually engaged. Or your clutch is so bad, which I won't really know. I guess I probably need to hook it up to one of my pieces of equipment before hay season comes. That way I'm not needing to split the tractor right when I need to cut hay. So what I will do, I'll show you here in a second, the process of stopping the PTO shaft with board, which makes me believe, actually, and then we can do another test. I can engage it and see if I can stop it then. And I will make sure I stop the camera and let you guys know whether it's engaged or not engaged. So let me show you. In this first test, the PTO is disengaged. So and it doesn't want to spin this time. There it goes. There you are. Stop it, so it should be disengaging properly with a lever. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start the tractor up, engage the PTO, and then we're going to try that board test again to see if we can stop it. Hopefully we can. If we can, then we most likely have a clutch issue. See, we couldn't stop it, so now I disengage it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that makes me feel a lot better about this. I mean, I was really worried for a little bit. Buying a used tractor, I'm thinking, you know, whenever I went to look at it, and I need to go over this whole thing with you guys, but when I went to look at it, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little giddy. Growing up, I always wanted John Deere stuff. You know, I didn't grow up on a farm or anything. I thought farm stuff was so cool. I always had John Deere toys. I thought something about John Deere. I understand that some people it's just paint, but I'll tell you what, that green and yellow, I don't know, it does something for me. So I really like my other tractor, my Ford tractor. It's kind of special to me just because it's a Ford. I've worked on Ford for years, but John Deere has always had kind of a special place in my heart. And so whenever I went to look at this tractor and it was the size I wanted a comparable to a 5 Series now, which a 5400 is the 5000 series. And I wanted a roughly 50 to 60 horsepower tractor. This one's a 68. Cool thing is, even has a cool little turbo on it. So this tractor is basically, whenever I went to look at it, exactly what I wanted. And so, yeah, I drove it around, tried stuff out, but I just didn't pay attention to this exactly. So I was a little worried once I got the tractor home and started noticing that, and I messed with it a little bit, but I didn't spend enough time to actually get comfortable with it. But now, after reading the manuals that I got and then reading some stuff online, I feel comfortable that my PTO is operating properly. So I don't need to do anything, don't need to split the transmission. I'll just keep using the tractor. I need to service it, so I'm going to make some videos over servicing the tractor. This thing holds 10 gallons of transmission / hydraulic oil or fluid, and that's, I think, what is it, like around $400 in fluid, which isn't really that bad, but I don't think I'm going to do all the services at once. I have the oil filter and the fuel filter and a hydraulic filter. So I think I'm going to, I already greased the tractor, but I'll go over it again, and I think I'm going to change the oil, change the coolant. I want to do that, and then I'll change the fuel filter, and then another video will end up changing all the transmission fluid and the hydraulic filter. And then there's also a screen for the hydraulic system right down here, so we're going to do that. And surprisingly, the owner's manual shows you all of this stuff, so I was really impressed whenever I saw the manual for this, and it actually showed you how to do a bunch of stuff. I also need to get an air filter for it. So anyway, I'm excited to end the video that I don't have to split the tractor within about a month of owning it, which is very nice. Anyway, thanks for watching. I really enjoy you guys sticking around, watching the video. I'd really appreciate if you like the content I'm putting out to subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.